Howdy, folks. Hope everyone's doing all right. Happy Monday. So we have review today for the midterm. Oh, I think, okay, got projector going now. Nope, came out again. Now. All right, so a question on our files quiz. All files are text files, right? Is this one?
Yeah.
So not all files are text-based files.
That's true.
So
I read that on like
this part is false.
It should be false.
Yeah, because not all files are text files. Like we looked at opening a Word doc file or something, like it was just nonsense, right? You can open it with read, but if you don't know the format of it, it's not very useful. So there's actually tons of really cool libraries. Someone was asking me about reading Microsoft Word documents. There's actually a library you can use to open up documents and get like the text out if you want to interact with Microsoft Word documents. Cool. Python can do all sorts of really cool stuff. You can read PDF files, CSV files, like most any sort of files are good. Thanks, Brian, for the sound check. Appreciate it. Yeah, so that one is false because not all files are text files. But the second half, you can read anything you want, is true, right? Whether or not it's useful is another story, right?
Yeah, I got kind of hooked up on that because it's like, I mean, technically, you can read any of them as text.
Yeah, but technically they're not text files. Yeah, okay, you can read it as text. So if you said true and you got the point wrong, let me know. If you want to argue that, I'm happy to accept that as well. Like it could be a text file. It's just not. I don't know. Yeah, so ideally that one was false. So I had mentioned before I went live here, I had a couple of people reach out last minute about some questions on Project 3, and sure, I'm inclined to not show the solution right now and give them a little extra time on it because it's okay. Like there's not a big rush. We don't need to move on to the next thing. We have the midterm to focus on. So today the plan is to go over the sample midterm questions, show you solutions for these, and then I'm happy to read you the midterm questions. And if you have questions about the questions, I'll answer those. And then you have until 6 p.m. next Monday to turn in the midterm. That's the only thing on your plate. So again, ideally you can like sit and do it in 2 hours. It's designed to be done in 2 hours so that if I wanted to sit and watch you take it, I could do it. I don't want to because I think that's dumb. Okay, so I'm not going to. So you'll have the time to work on it. Yeah.
So once we open it, should same time finish it, or we can like?
No, come back to just like the chapter quizzes. You just open it, leave it. It'll save your answers, so you can come back to it later. Yep. Yeah, resume it anytime. Yep, for sure. So other quiz questions. So that was about our chapter 7 quiz. Any questions about the other one? So you should be able to see all the answers now. In case you got any of them wrong, you can go back and see what the right answer was. Happy to clarify those. I got tired of writing multiple choice questions because coming up with wrong answers is, I don't know, like it's not a skill of mine to come up with something that might be believable but a wrong answer. So mostly these have been true false here. So you're going to do the sample questions. So hopefully you had a chance to give these a try yourself, and then I'll show you how I might go about doing it. And then again, the midterm itself will have a question on functions, a question on iterations, and a question on strings. We'll go from there. All right, let me fire up Python. It should be. I told it to open at 6, unless I did something wrong. The actual midterm should be out there. Let me go double check here then. Quizzes. Available. It says available, but then it still shows hidden. Okay, so no, I didn't do it right. How about make visible? All right, now it is visible and available after 6 p.m. Sorry about that. All right, so we fire up a new project here for midterm review.
So this will be on your repository?
Yep, yeah, I'll commit all this code here if you want to ever come back and reference it again. So our first question here then was write a Python function that accepts values first, middle, and last. Okay, we don't have a name of the function here, so we'll just call it, I don't know, practice midterm, fine, midterm, function question. Sure, takes first, middle, and last. Right, so we list the arguments out. We're saying, okay, I need 3 arguments. If we're accepting arguments, we just put them in our list here. And then we do some nonsense. If first is less than middle, but more than last, return last minus first. Okay, so if first is less than the middle, but more than the last. All right, so if first is less than the middle, and first is more than the last. And now PyCharm's even trying to help us here and say we could do this differently if you wanted here. We could simplify it, right? And we can take their suggestion if you wanted. First is less than middle but greater than last. Right? You can kind of sandwich those together in Python. If that is less clear, you're welcome to do it either way. Right? They're both the same thing. Either's fine here. Then we'll return last minus the first. Okay. If middle is less than first and last, return middle times 3. Right. So then if middle is less than first and middle is less than last, return middle times 3. And if last is less than first and middle, return last times middle. If last is less than first and middle, first and last is less than middle, return last times the middle, I think it was. Last times the middle. Okay. Now, what if none of these were true? Well, I didn't specify. So I think I puzzled it out and it was fine, right? Because this is if first is the least, but bigger than last. This is if last is the least, and this is if middle's the least. Okay, so if first is less than last, we get nothing in this case. Other than that, though, we should get an answer. And that's our function. So we could try it if we wanted to. Right? We could print midterm function question with like 1, 3, and 5. So first is the least. Oh, we're not actually going to get an answer here, are we? We should get none because it's not greater than last. But other ways around, right? If we did like 5, 3, and 1, or if first is greater than last but less than middle, 0, we should get a couple of results here. And then one where last is the smallest, one where middle is the smallest. So one more where middle is the smallest. How about 5, 5, and 5? Or 5, 3, and 5. So none, because there was no result. Right? Otherwise, we got the, let's see, this is where middle is the least, so middle times 3 is 3 times 3. This is where last was the smallest, last times middle was 3. And then if first is less than middle, but greater than last, we get last minus first, -1. I think those ones check out. Again, it's a nonsense function. I want it to be something you can't Google, yeah? No, so the function should accept values. Right? If the function accepts values, it has nothing to do with user input. Yep. Yeah, ideally when we have functions in classes, they don't do anything about user input unless it's like a menu function that's specifically asking for it. You want all the input to happen somewhere else so that your code can be used other places.
For this type of function, it was actually on the midterm. Then, like, after this function, you want to put like those type of values.
No, all I need is a function. But I mean, if you've got PyCharm open, it's probably worth running it and making sure it works. Right? I don't need any of this part of you testing it, but it's a good idea, especially if you have the tools available. Try it and make sure it does work. Because if you have something wrong, hopefully we can figure out that it went wrong. Right, and then the next one here for iterations, we'll enter values for scores from a game until they're done using some sort of sentinel value or a yes/no prompt, whatever you want to do. I like sentinel values, but depending on what game it is, like -1 might be a valid score. Like for golf, I think -1's a valid score. I've never gotten it because I'm terrible at golf, and I've been like twice because I don't find it all that enjoyable. Probably because I suck at it. Maybe if I was better at it, it might be more fun. Or a yes/no prompt, right? So enter a value, do you have more? Yes or no. Enter a value, do you have more? Yes or no. Either way is okay. We can do both if you want. We can do one way or the other. Whatever's up to you. And we're going to total all of the scores and then print the total. Okay, so we'll have a total score is starts at 0, and then how about a score equals 0 or something? Sure. And while score does not equal, I'll do -1 for now. Like this is using like a sentinel value. we'll ask them for the score. Right? Score equals an input, an int of an input. Please enter score or -1 to be all done. And then now the problem is if they enter -1, we need to make sure we're not adding it here. Right? So if score, this was a little sad, you have to do it twice here. If it's not -1, right, then we can take my total score plus equals this. The way you can get around this if you want, and again, just because having this in here twice makes me sad, I'm going to take, oh, not 0 plus score. There we go. I'm going to flip this here and put this first, and then ask for a new score. Because score starts at 0, so 0 plus 0 is still 0, and I'll ask them for a new score. When you see prompts, you have no idea where it is in the code. Like as you're typing in numbers, you don't know if this came first or second. So if it's not -1, then I'll go add and ask you for another one. And it just saves me one little check here. So I prefer this method here if you're using a sentinel value. And it works because we're starting score at 0. I can add 0 to 0 and it's not changing anything. Right? That's with the sentinel value. Or we could say, I don't know, like more scores to enter equals a y, and while more scores to enter equals a y. Let's do this thing. And maybe even here check like lower on that one. Right? Enter the score. And really we could just take total score adding that here. And then ask if they have more. So more scores to enter equals an input. Do you have more scores to enter? Y or no, right? I tell them what we expect, and if they enter a Y, we'll keep on going. And then a Y, and we stop. Right, so this is with the I don't know, you need a prompt for continuing. Right, and then when we're done, we print out total score. Print the total scores you entered are total score entered. There we go. And again, we probably do it at the end of this one too, and probably reset total score to 0 because we're doing this loop twice here. Right? Either approach is fine, whichever you like. Generally, I like the sentinel values because it's one less thing to type. I can just do number, right, and keep on going rather than number, yes, right? Just a little easier. And when people get good at using like the number pad, they can type crazy fast. I had one of my scoutmasters was a CPA, and during tax season, she would bring all of the stuff she had to enter for calculating stuff for her clients because she couldn't take the weekend off because tax season apparently sucks as an accountant. And she would just fly on the number pad. It was crazy to watch. Like I think I type fast, but on numbers she just like wasn't stopping. It was like I don't know. I don't think I could type that fast for numbers like with any sort of accuracy. Right. So that's our looping question, and then a string question. We'll enter a string value, count the number of vowels in the string because y is sometimes a vowel. Every time we find a y, you pick a random number, 1 or 2. If it's a 1, count it. If it's a 2, don't, and then print the vowel count. Okay, so we could make it a function if we wanted. You don't have to if you don't want to. I think functions are fun, so why not? We'll call this vowel count. Sometimes y, sometimes y, given vowel. Nope. Oh goodness, vowel. There we go. Given a word, or really a sentence. I don't know. Sentence, sure. And we can say for letter in sentence. Right? We can loop through a sentence because a string is just a collection of characters, one character at a time. And then if letter is equal to a, and probably want to lowercase this, right? Which is a little annoying. Sentence dot, well, we can do sentence dot lower if you lowercase the entire sentence first. So if letter is a, or letter is equal to e, or letter is equal to an I, or letter is equal to, we could do it this way, right? Did we look at the in operator with strings? I think we did, didn't we? Yeah, so the easier way then to do that, right, you could just say, oops, I won't even bother with that, ... We could say if letter is in A, E, I, O, and U, then we need a vowel count, right? So vowel count, vowel starts at 0. We'll take our vowel count plus 1, right? If it's in this string of A, E, I, O, U, right? We've done in, right? In strings. If something is in a string, whether or not it's a single letter or a bunch of characters, you can look for words inside of sentences. I think we did that. It's been like 2 weeks, and we had a holiday, so let's double check. PY 4E. Double check. Strings. Look for the word in. That was not a very good search. How about in with a space? In. Still not a good search here. Yeah. Oh, no, that's the wrong. Give us in. Yeah, okay. The in operator between two strings. Yeah, we did this. I'm getting a bunch of funny looks. So, all right, thanks, Professor Burt.
So
A couple people remembered. Yeah.
Question is the preferred method to use the in, or is it wrong to just index in into?
This is fine. I mean, if you want to check in index edit, so this is looping one character at a time. You could loop using index if you wanted to. That's generally more typing. Is the only downside to that. Yeah, so like you could loop for index in length of the string. Yeah, and sentence at index 0, sentence at index 1. Sure, it will accomplish the same goal here. But we're looking at using in as not in a for loop, but saying if the string is in another string to quickly count those vowels, right? And then elif, the letter, is equal to a y. Then we need a random number. So we'll say if random dot rand int 1 to 2 is equal to, I don't know, a 2, take our vowel count plus e equals 1. And when we're all done with that, then we can return the vowel count. Right? So if picking a number between 1 and 2 is a 2, right, there's nothing else that happens. We just don't count it. So I don't need an else here. We just don't count on the else. Okay, we can return the vowel count. So let's give it a try. So let's print our vowel count, sometimes y, Eric, and I'm going to do all uppercase to make sure the lowercasing works here. And then, Eric doesn't have a y, so let's have an Eric E. Sure. And then if we do it a couple times, we should get some different counts, because sometimes it'll count a y, sometimes it won't count a y. All right, -1 to be all done. 1. Oh, we forgot to change that prompt. Sorry. Let's see. Enter a score. There we go. And then the vowel counts, right? So Eric had 2. Eric with a y had 3. Eric with a y had 2, 2, and 2. So sometimes it counted it, sometimes it didn't, which is what we'd expect with that. It should be random. So relatively random. Or if you wanted, you could just do like all y's and, and you'd expect these to be different values each time. Right? This should be a little bit more wildly different here. No. Yeah. So now a 1, a 2, a 4, and a 1. Right. Wow. 4 out of 6. That's pretty good. Well, I guess not. So 3 would be average, right? So we had some low ones here. Excuse me. It's a, if it's a 50-50 chance. I told somebody once I have a foolproof method for winning money at a casino, and they never believed me. It technically will work, but it's really hard to pull off. So you go and you play roulette. That's a game where the ball lands on a wheel and there's a bunch of numbers on it. Sometimes it's a red number, sometimes it's a black number. Occasionally there's a green 0 or a double green 0, depending on if the casino wants to increase their odds or not. I said, just bet $1, and if you win, you won $1. If you lose, double your bet. You'll always win, eventually. Mathematically, it works out. The problem is you probably can't lose $1 and then $2 and $4 and $8 and 16 and 32, 64, 128, on and on. By the time you lose 12 times in a row, you're out $1 million or more, right? No, it's because 2 to the 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 56, 512. But if you lose 15 times in a row, right, you're up to that $2 billion number. You probably don't have $2 billion to bet, and the casino probably won't let you bet $2 billion. But theoretically, you would always win. because it won't be, you won't fail forever. Right. That had nothing to do with this. I'm sorry, but this is like that chance of half and half and half and half. There was a cool video that someone just put out. Who was it? Was it Veritasium? I like that guy. On a similar idea of this, whether or not you're going to win or lose. Veritasium math puzzle. I think it was that. Yeah. So it's a fun video. I'll post the link in Discord here, but you can watch it later. But it's the same idea of this chance, 1.5, a half chance, and a half chance, and a half chance, and a half chance. But there's a good way to solve this puzzle. That's a fun one. All right, that was our last sample question. As I go off into a tangent here, do you want to look at the actual questions then? So the first one here is important, and you get a free point essentially for agreeing to the academic integrity policy. Open book, open notes, open internet, but you cannot work with another person. Okay? All work submitted is your original work unless otherwise cited. Okay? You get a point for agreeing to that and understanding that's how this will work. And then some quiz questions, and then some long answer ones. All right, this one looks long, but it's not too bad. So our functions question, we're going to write a basic math function that accepts 3 values, an operator, a first value, and a second value. If the operator is the string add first and second, return the result. If it's subtract second from the first, return the results. If it's multiply first and second, return the results. If it's divide, return first divided by second. If it's exponent, take the first to the power of the second. If it's anything else, return a 0. So we're just writing a function, takes the 3 values, looks at the value of operator, does something with the first and second value.
Only thing I would have to look up on that would be the exponent.
So you can use...
Did that hat sign?
No, that does not do what you'd expect, actually. That is the math operator for exponent, not the Python operator for exponent. I don't know why. So you can do 2 stars, or you can do math.pow. So star, or like multiplication, is exponent. I didn't write it. Math.pow will give you the power. Hey, Ernestinus, thank you so much for gifting a sub to the community and donating to the Student Scholarship Fund at the University of Michigan Dearborn College of Engineering and Computer Science. We're officially up to, what is the number here now? 50, 150, 250, 300, $400 towards the scholarship fund. Thanks to Twitch and you generous folks. So thanks for putting up with an alternative system here instead of Zoom. All right, so that's the basic math. That's their function question. Right? Accept the values. So you can accept them, don't ask for values. The function just takes the values. It's just you get passed in. Right? And then for our loop here, first ask for a minimum and a maximum size. So the idea here is like you're looking for parts that are out of scale or something, if that helps you conceptualize this. What's the minimum size and the maximum size? And then allow them to enter as many sizes as they want, counting how many are below the min or above the max. So if I say, hey, the minimum size is 1.25 and the max is 1.5. And I'll enter a size, enter a size, enter a size. You enter as many numbers as you want. I'm going to count every time it is less than the min or above the max. And then when we're done, we'll calculate the percentage of the size entered that were too low or too high out of the total number that you entered. Or if you said, hey, the min is 1 and the max is 10, sure, I'm going to count every time a number is less than 1 or more than 10 out of all the ones that you enter, and then figure out what percentage of them were out of range, essentially, given a min and a max. So if you had like a set of calipers and a part that had been machined, you were measuring to make sure they fit to spec here. So that's sort of thing here. So just as a fun fact, if you're into manufacturing and quality assurance, this is a big deal at manufacturing sites, especially given we're in the Detroit area and our car companies here. Because of just-in-time manufacturing and the way that our supply chains work, if you have a batch of parts that you send that are bad and out of spec, and they have to shut their line down, they lose like tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know if it's per hour, per minute, some ridiculous amount of money if one part is bad because they don't have a stock of good parts because of our supply chain and the idea that, yeah, we can just order them as we need them. But then you run into these issues and then they hate their suppliers and My mother did, or still does, quality assurance, actually, and all sorts of that fun stuff. So, actually, I made it out to the GT500 plant in Wixom with my dad, doing a recall because they needed extra hands. And he's like, "Hey, I can bring my teenager." Like, okay, sure. And we had to go measure parts on the floor at the GT500 factory before they tore it down in Wixom, which was fun. Right, so loops until they want to be done. Either way's fine, right? If you want to use a sentinel value, fine. The problem with the sentinel value is you don't really know what a bad value is, right? If the minimum accepted value is like -10, okay, -1's a good value. You can't really use -1 as a sentinel here, right? So that is a little trickier to use. So you might want to just ask them, do you have more values? Yes or no? Because we don't know what these are going to be ahead of time here. There's no like guarantee that these are positive. I mean, if we were measuring things in the real world, yeah, you're not going to have a negative dimension, but again, either way is okay. And then the last one here, based off of Wordle, because I still play Wordle. I don't know if it's a fad for you folks, if anyone tried it, got hooked on it here or not. But we're going to have a hidden 5-letter word. Just make it anything you want. It could be apple, any 5-letter word you want. We're going to ask the user to guess a 5-letter word. Don't accept values that aren't 5 letters long, or you can get the length of a string. Keep on asking until you get something that's length 5. Then, for each letter in the guess, tell them if that letter is in the hidden word in the same spot, like the same index. Is it the first letter matches the first letter? Or it's in the hidden word but a different spot. Okay, my first letter is somewhere in that word, but it's not at the first spot. Or if it's not in the hidden word. So I'll just output 5 times each of the letters in the word that you guessed. If it's right spot, right letter, wrong spot, or not in the word. Okay? There's a really easy way to check this too. But a couple of different ways to approach it, which is, as long as it gets the job, then we'll be okay. All right. So then if you wanted to, you could turn that into a function and repeat it and give them a Wordle game to play eventually. But this is just one time, one guess, one output here with for each letter, right spot, wrong spot, not in the word. Those 3 things. Okay. Questions, thoughts, concerns? These all make sense after having talked about them?
So let me make sure. Ask the user to guess 5-letter word.
Mhm.
Allow them to enter values that aren't 5 letters long.
Yeah. So if I enter the word banana, that's longer than 5 letters. Say, nope, that's too long. Guess a 5-letter word.
So we just check the length.
Yep.
Make sure it's not greater.
Yep. So it's got a little validation loop inside of it here.
But the hidden word, do we just choose?
Anything you want it to be. You just set hidden word equals apple, or hidden word equals
Or do we have
toast.
to do what we did like Tic-Tac?
No. This is simple. Yeah, just make it simple here. Just toast, apple, strong. What are some people have some fun starting words? I like alien because it has 3 vowels in it as a starting word for Wordle.
And it has to be 5 letters.
Yep.
They can't guess a 4-letter word.
Yep. Got to be 5 letters. Yep. So too short is wrong. Too long is wrong. Got to be 5. Otherwise, like the way that you compare them might be trouble.
So they have to type in, but they could just type in A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah, we're not actually checking to make sure it's a word, which would be easier in Wordle if you could do that, because you could like burn a guess to just get rid of 5 consonants. They don't let you do that because Wordle makes you use a real word. But we're not doing that. It'd be fun.
You could just type in the vowels.
Yeah, and see which vowels. So Scott Hanselman likes Ouija. Apparently that's a valid 5-letter word. It has almost all the vowels in it. And then like if you don't get any of the hits, E must be in there. You got to have at least a vowel. So Ouija's a decent starting word, but I'm not a fan of it because of J. Yep. That's what we got all week just for this. And then no extra projects, no other homework. We'll do our last individual project next week, and then we'll start looking at the final project coming up after that, 2 weeks from that. So we're cruising. We'll be in here week technically week 10, but really it's our 8th meeting here out of 14, right? Because we only have it's 16 weeks total long, but we missed 2 to holidays. Yeah, so we'll talk about Project 4. So it looks like a lot next week, but lists and tuples are similar. Dictionaries are a different animal. There's lots of fun. We'll talk about all those in Project 4. And then we'll look at some advanced Python things, which are really fun. We'll talk about our final project coming up in August. And that's all we do in August is the final project. Sorry, I can bump that up. Is the final project. So, and I think I'm up to date on grading things, unless you turned something in recently. Before I left the house, I think I had everything except, because Project 3 was due today and the lab was due today. So I didn't get those ones done yet. But
So Project 4 due 8/1, I guess?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, 2 weeks for the projects like we've been going for. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got to push those solutions. Thank you. Yep. We'll do Rosent. Here we go. Term review, commit, and push. All right. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Here's the 100. I got to post that later. This is really cool. Actually, we should just watch it on YouTube, right? You don't need the Reddit for it.
There is a riddle that is so.
He's like goes all out. He's like got not a uniform, costume on for this. So this is a fun one. If you like math, if you don't like math, then you won't find this interesting at all. But I think it's kind of cool. I'll post that in the Discord later. To do this after you've taken the midterm as like a, or now, it doesn't matter. So I'll share that one. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? If not, we've got the rest of the night working the midterm again. Ideally, if you want to do it and get it out of the way, sure, sit and take it and go home when you're done, or take all week. Totally up to you folks. I know everyone takes tests a little differently here, and I appreciate that much more now that I went back to school in my 30s trying to take calculus, and I had to take Calc 2 twice because exams were just really rough when you have to memorize a bunch of things. I'm like, if I could have just had my formula sheet, I would have passed. But you know, that's okay. It was fun anyway. All right. If you folks online have any questions, just shoot me an email or find me in Discord, text me, and we'll go from there. You take care.